Hi, David here with suicidefishing.com. Gonna give you an update. This will be a vlog, not a reel, because it'll be longer, obviously. But this is what we've got going on so far. Apologize, I'm not in my normal work clothes. It's my work inside the building here in the office. I've had meetings, and so I've had to. I got to dress up a little bit for our Zoom meetings. So, but I came out and cleared out, got the tarps off of everything, and I'm standing up here on the gunwale, and I thought this was a pretty good view, so I'd give you a different perspective of what we got going on. So here it is. This gives you an idea. Probably give a much larger view here. So, got everything epoxied in, or fiberglassed, and we've placed the thickened epoxy over everything, as you can see. And we've sanded that down, and we've added the second layer of epoxy. As you can see, the white, that's a non-sog. We can work with that when it's in a wet environment. The pink is the other thickened epoxy, and because the reason that's not done, same reason that some of that's not done, is because we're going to be placing the casting deck up there, and so casting deck and the ice box. So what we've got going on now is our second layer of thickened epoxy. We'll sand that down, and it looks promising. We may be able to just go with epoxy primer paint after that. And I bought some white epoxy primer paint because I sort of wanted to see what it looked like with white on the gunwales, because we were planning on painting them blue, like the center console there and the seat that we have right there. So anyhow, so here's what we have. Let's get into this. You'll see right over here. Where is it? There's a frame. Okay, that's a smaller frame, and then over there you'll see a bigger frame. We've got those hanging up because we've put epoxy resin all over it, a couple coats, and to make sure that it will stay water free. and those frames will go on the. There's two places right there that those frames will go. And what that is the front frame for the casting deck, and then a small drop, an additional frame for the ice box. And casting deck frame right there doubles as a frame as well for the ice box. Now up front there, you can see it. We will continue. There's the, as you can see, the anchor well right there, and and let me get down here so I can show you more. Yeah, sucks getting old. So here's what we've got with these. So this piece right here is actually a continuation of the casting deck. You see the casting deck right there, which is also the top of the dry storage. And this piece goes right here. And then what separates it for the anchor well is this. This will go right like that. And that sits up underneath the anchor well lid there. which is watertight. We made it watertight. So all of this will go in there, and we still have some more work to do with these. We gotta clean them up. We got tools here that we brought in to work, believe it or not, in the office. Like we managed to find a I don't know if you call it pirated, but it's a Dremel tool. It's an off-brand Dremel tool, and we had some challenges the other day inside, and we needed some tools, and we saw that, and I was like, whoa, we can use that for the real fine areas, because there's areas in here, especially in the corners, where we have epoxy, and we have to, if there's a lot of epoxy, we try to grind it, but our tools are too big, so we use a file, which isn't the easiest, and then, sometimes a hammer and a chisel. If we're real slow about it, we can get it looking somewhat good, and then we start working on it with sandpaper. But with that Dremel tool, it has made life so easy. We can get into the tight spots. And so as an example, tight spots, right down there in the bilge pump area. There's areas where we fiberglassed, and we've got to cut away the fiberglass to allow the water flow around the keelson. And so we can't do that because obviously that will make the water pool, and we may, as much epoxy as we put in here, and on every last single piece of wood, pooling water is still something you don't want to have. And so, all right, so speaking of the bilge pump area, see it right there, this right here will hold a 24-liter fuel tank like that, and this area over here, the same thing. So we'll have a total of 48 liters of fuel. So that ought to be enough for what we're doing inshore. But we do eventually want to take some trips further out, and in order to do that, we need to see how this boat handles inshore. And so this whole area will be covered. You'll see the anchor right there. These two pieces will anchor to the transom as well as to the keelson. It's sort of an odd angle, but what we're going to do is we'll have a piece of plywood eventually, it's fiberglass, that will go over that, and this will be just an open space, and it'll have a hole in it, so we can just pull it out real quick, and you'll see the two pieces here like this that we've cut out there and over there. That's for dual bilge pumps. So we've got two 1,100-gallon bilge pumps. We're going to wire actually separately. I thought about wiring them together, but I don't like that idea. If one goes down or something, I better safe having a separate electrical hookup on the center console. So in that bilge area and the fuel locker area, these are the dividing walls right here. They're fiberglassed. Here's in the bottom. We didn't want to fiberglass the bottom in, but we do have these pieces that we've epoxied. I put epoxy resin on. We're going to sand those down. All of this is going to get sanded down really, really good, and a lot of layers of epoxy paint on top of the epoxy resin. And you'll also, so that's the bottom. Those will have holes in them, so we can pull them out, because obviously you want to be able to see the bottom of the transom. You want to see if there's areas where the water is pooling next to the transom. And so that's what we've got. And then this is the top, and we still have to fiberglass this. And so these, as obviously, will fold back like that, hinge back. And again, these are finished. We just need to paint them up and make them look beautiful. And add fiberglass. Actually, we need to add the fiberglass on top. So the same with this one's the left, this one's the right. And these pieces are the corresponding pieces that go into the transom bilge area, the fuel locker. So then, as far as the center console, so I haven't decided exactly how to configure these. You know, we're JR. I think JR made a comment the other day, and it actually made sense. He says we need to take a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and mock everything up on that plywood as if it was mocked up on the inside of this. Made total and complete sense to me. And so you'll see that opening. We've got a cover on that. So I'm thinking about how on the inside having some sort of hinge system where we can bring it out and look at it. I don't know how that's going to work. If we're going to have enough wire to do that. If it's, you know, a moving wire isn't a good thing. So, but we may just go ahead and put some bolts and a piece of plywood that's away from the side of the interior of the center console. And so we'll epoxy a bolt in, put a nut on it, put it in, maybe you know, whatever. Put a 2-inch bolt in there, drill the plywood, put the plywood in, and use 2 nuts per bolt to hold it just specifically just right, so the wires are in the back are untouched, but yet it's away from everything. And if you have to, you can pull the whole thing out. And so the other thing is, you know, I made the sitting area here, but and you see there's no bottom there, but I've got a 2-inch lip all the way around the bottom. My plan was just to anchor it, you know, straight to the deck of the Albion Dory here. But second thoughts, I thought, you know what, I probably want to make that a closable dry storage where no water could possibly leak from underneath and get in there. So I'm thinking about putting the bottom in. I don't want to make that an ice box, not near all the electrical in there. Here's our seat for the center console. Same thing, but this I may make into an ice box, and I am not going to bolt it, or dry storage, and I'm not going to bolt it to the deck of the speedboat. The reason why is because I have limited room here. I want to be able to move that around. You know, if we're overnight, I want to be able to move it off the side and fit 1 or 2 people in there. And so, so that would be the goal. You know, so you'll see also, you can't see it very well, but the battery I want to put underneath the center console. A lot of people are saying, put it back here. But I've already got that space dedicated for other things. Plus, I don't want to have a battery near the gasoline, and so not a good thing. And so I think it's better up front here in the center console. So now with the ice box, getting back to the ice box, that seat on the center console, the seat will be about 1.5 feet away from the ice box, and the ice box is going to be about 18 inches up, and so it's going to be a step, and then it's another 6 or 8 inches to the casting deck. And so I wanted to step up. I didn't want to have that awkward big step, because, you know, it's awkward. We're in a boat. It could be, you know, not so good conditions. I wanted physically for people to step up and have more control of their balance. And so I don't know, that's just me. That's, you know, I wanted a bigger ice box, but I thought about that, and I just, you know, I'm choosing safety over over the capacity of the icebox. Plus, you know, and the reason why I wanted a bigger icebox, because I don't want to be, you know, 60, 70 miles out, and then one of us catches first cast, first drop, first troll. One of us catches a 150, 200 pound, 100 kilo, 120 kilo fish, and we throw it in there, and then we essentially don't have enough ice or space to stay out for a long time. And so you can't put it on a deck. I want a kill bag. I think a kill bag would be nice, but an insulated. It's gonna be a 1-inch insulated ice box. We got, you know, the spray foam. By the way, I used the can of spray foam in here, and it did not expand the way it advertised. But I've got enough to put into the ice box, in the framing of the ice box, so that's what I'll use the additional 3 cans for. And I've got some expanding poly, whatever it is, foam coming, so I'll be drilling the deck and the bulkheads and adding that expanding foam to make this thing unsinkable. Might get full of water, a big bathtub out there, but it won't go to the bottom. And so and the goal is to keep the radio dry long enough to yell for help. So anyways, so that's a step up. The ice box, back to the ice box and the mount. I wanted a big ice box so we can put a big fish on ice, and we can still stay out and grab another 1 or 2 big fish and enjoy. It's just not good that you get out that far and then you realize the drive time on the way back is going to spoil your meat. And so I, you know, and these are just things looking ahead, trying to figure out, you know. So yeah, kill bag. So the whole idea is to just fill that up with ice and have extra space elsewhere, like right there. We can probably throw ice. Better to have more ice than not enough. And then a kill bag. So the kill bag will be absolutely wonderful to put extra ice in, you know, as you fill up your hard coolers, and then move to the kill bag. So kill bag, I want to be able to manage probably a 100+ kilo fish in there, or obviously madami and a lot of other fish that are smaller. So these are things that I'm thinking about. As far as the center console goes, I think I've done, you know, as Elon Musk does. He doesn't spend a lot of time preparing. He prepares, but he also does a lot of doing. So and I'm sure some of you heard this. You can spend too much time preparing and not enough time doing. And we've done a lot of preparing. Now, granted, we can't take this out. I suppose we could. We could throw the engine on there and the battery and go. You know, we can manage it in its current condition. But we're close to a finished product. So I want to get a T-top in there. You know, I wasn't going to put the casting deck in, but it makes sense to do a bunch of this while we have it in this condition, because we'll get it done faster, so more efficient way. But as far as the T-top, we can go without the T-top. You know, that's something we can do on the trailer, and to be quite honest, we'll probably have to drive it over to the weld shop so we can actually fabricate it on site, make sure it's perfect. And that'll be something that I got a friend, Sunny Boy, shout out to Sunny Boy over on Valencias, or Burgos Street. When he's busy, he allows me to use his tools. So Dennis and I will probably go over there and fabricate a T-top with this. And we're going to take a full sheet of 1/4-inch plywood, fiberglass both sides, round the corners, and anchor it up on top. So those are things that we don't need. Once the boat's painted up and we have the center console in, there's a lot of things we don't need to go out that we can, you know, so we can go out and go do, and we can prepare and manage some of the other things later, like the T-top, like the solar on the T-top. We want solar, you know, more fishing holders, radio antenna. What else goes up there? Lights, spotlights. We want to see what we're doing out at night, obviously, and so like that. And then on the center console, some of the other things that will happen with that eventually is, you know, like a lot of these newer vehicles have that Android, or have a head unit in it, and here I can get a hold of an Android head unit that actually has a cell phone SIM card. And so we can put a data card in there, and so we can go out and pick up a signal, you know, reasonably far. It'll be hit and miss, but at least and it'll have a lot of memory in it. So, you know, out of sheer boredom, you know, you bring passengers that aren't fishing and they get tired of the fishing experience. You know, I want to go home, you know. No fisherman wants to hear that. So I'm gonna put a Android head unit in there, and so we'll be able to listen to music. We'll be able to watch videos. Should, you know, if there's something unique or unusual, or we need to identify a specific kind of fish that we've hooked up on, whether we keep it or need to throw it back, you know, we have that at our disposal, and so. Which will be sort of nice. We'll have a VHF radio, and if you look up there, we'll have an antenna. That's my Starlink right there, up above, right there. We'll have probably a 40-foot antenna placed here, and VHF radio. We've gone through, I've sent a bunch of guys through the Class C license training, so now they've got to take on the test, and so we'll get all that testing done, just so we're legal here, and then we'll have the fish finder. What else? Radio, but I'm not sure if I'm going to put the radio. We'll probably do the T-top. And because I don't want to be drilling into this and repairing it all the time. I mean, we can do it. It's just much rather have the T-top and the radio antenna on the T-top, and then a box up above the center console with an Android head unit and the radio that's lockable, so the electronics are a little bit more secure. And so, what are some of the other things? Transom. Got to drill holes in the transom. I got to figure out how to get my, among other things, you know, eventually I want to have a live weld. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I might just do the bucket live well. Trying to talk my wife into a saltwater aquarium so I can come home with all these bait fish I catch and just throw it in there, and when we go out we have live bait fish, but she's not too keen to that idea. And so, among other things, anyways, just throwing crazy things out there. You know, you know how wives are. They're resistant, but you got to plan ahead, plant the thought, let them mull it out. You know, talk about it a little bit more. You know, like the aquarium. She has an aquarium right now, but she has to clean it. She has to clean it. It gets mold in there, and I'm saying, you know what? Get a big aquarium, you know, I'll pay for it, and guess what? It's salt water. You won't have to deal with it. I'll bring you home some fish, throw it in there. You know, when you want a fish meal fresh, just grab one of them. And she's resistant to that. All of the dogs, her fish, they're all her friends. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But anyhow, So yeah, live well. So I got to be able to put in a filtering device, suck in some water. I want to be able to spray down the deck. What else? Exits for the bilge. I'm going to have 2 exits. I thought about piping both bilges into one, but I don't know if there's a check valve on those to stop water from going back in. I'm sure there is, but I think I'd rather be safe than sorry. These things are from China, and the quality just isn't there for the price. My bilge pump's 1,100 gallons per hour. Cost me like $30, and they're just like the ones that you see on the shelf in your marine supply store in the United States. So, but I've got experience, at some of these nice-looking, low-priced items. They just don't last, and that's the other reason for 2. I'd rather have 2 and 1 fails, because the water can get between the keelson. It just has to be 1.5 inches high to go over the keelson, and with the boat rocking, that's going to happen. So like I said, and that's the reason why I'm going to wire it separately. I think it's just much more redundant. So let's see, what else is there? I'm sure there's more. The trailer, we could talk about the trailer. We got to finish that off. That won't take too long. That'll be battleship gray as well, just like the boat is right here, just like that is right there. So we're gonna match it up, and then I can't wait to get it on a trailer and get all of this stuff out of here and clean this place up, because I know my wife's tired of the mess. I mean, I'm essentially following OSHA rules in the United States with keeping a good housekeeping on the work site, keeping things organized and clean, and but still I want my yard back. so that's where we're at. The engine right there, can't wait to get it in, and that's essentially it. Oh, seating. So all right, so on top of the fuel locker, one seat, that's 2. On top of the bilge pump area, we're going to make it to where it can go across. So that'll be 3. Obviously, we'll be able to put for the seating for the center console, the operator, 2 more in front of the center console. 2 more, so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then, excuse me, on the step up from the ice box to the casting deck, that can double as seating, and so I'm not going to put any real padding on, like on the tops of the fuel locker. The padding is going to be minimal, because we're going to be jumping up and down on that, and so we want to make that as durable as possible. Same thing on top of the ice box. It'll be thin padding. Make that somewhat you can sit down. It'll be comfortable, and the but we'll be jumping up there to get to the casting deck, obviously. And on the casting deck, it's low enough in there that we could probably get a couple of low sitting Coleman foldable chairs on there, not in rough water, but obviously, and these are things that we can put into the dry storage under the casting deck. The other thing, I got to stick a cutting board on here, so I've got to figure out how to put the cutting board back there in the transom. I want the stainless steel. Oops, we gotta go that way. Stainless steel piping there with rod holders, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to maybe I'll put a cutting board there. Maybe I'll make a small box for a live well there, where I can also still get in and look at the bilge pumps and comfortably get in there and work on them if necessary. Also need to be able to bail water out manually if there is a problem. And so maybe the lid will fold down and it'll be a cutting board, double as a cutting board. So I'm still trying to figure that one out. And so cooking, I think I might just have a small camping gas stove and utensils. I'll just have a box that I pack around because I do want to go out quite a ways and on occasion stay out overnight. And so I want to be prepared. Life vests, I'm torn between the traditional life vests that you just strap on, clip on, and the ones with the CO2 that a lot of your experienced boaters will use, and you'll see on the Coast Guard uses, as well as the Marine Police. The challenge with those, they're cool looking, they're nice, they give you a lot of mobility, but the problem is, truly, for someone that doesn't know how to swim, they're not going to have the mental fortitude when they're panicking in the water to pull the CO2 device to inflate the life jacket. So, now most of my friends are fishing, they can swim, and so I've taken a few minutes and explaining how this works. If you fall in, you don't have to pull it, you can swim back to the boat, wait for the boat to come back and get you. But if it looks like it might be long term for whatever reason, pull that thing. And I explain to them, like the airline stewardess, blow into the hose and inflate your life vest when the air leaks out of it over time. And so I'm, for mobility for the fishermen, I think that's going to be the way to go. I'll probably, I believe, if I remember right, this thing's built to manage just under 3,000 pounds of weight. I've added a little bit more to it, so I imagine that weight is going down. But I've elevated the sides, and so I think it's going to be still within that realm. And so I also believe that I think capacity, the legal capacity in the United States, I think is 8. I'm not sure. I have to look it up and go from there. And so we'll see what happens. We're in the Philippines. I get Filipinos that come over, my friends, and they just say, "Oh, what's the capacity?" And I'll say 4. I'm fishing 4. One operator who may be able to get some line in, but 3 others that can throw their lines in for jigging. Capacity's higher for trolling, obviously, but we are. Sorry. The dogs were doing something they shouldn't have been doing. So anyhow, so the capacity, 4 for fishing, more for jigging, more for trolling. But ideally I'm building this for 4 people, but we occasionally may want to go island hopping, and so there's some beautiful white sand beaches here, so we'll load it up within a reasonable amount. But my friends will show up here and I'll say 4 and they're like, "No, that's a capacity of 30." And it's like, no, it's maybe legally 8, and they still 40 or 30, sorry, 30. But you see, that's just what they do here. They will pack a boat just like a can of sardines, just absolutely packed. And what happens? Like just 2 weeks ago, the Coast Guard, you know, a boat, a ferry boat. It was just a motor bunker, you know. They loaded like 50 people on it, and it was rated for like 28. And guess what? It went down. It capsized. What happened was it was in some semi bad weather, and a wave came into the side, and it scared a bunch of the people, and they all ran to the other side, and it just capsized it. 26 people were killed in that accident, which would have been prevented had the Coast Guard done their job. Coast Guard signed off on it, and so some heads rolled right there. But that actually happens quite often here in the Philippines. The marine safety just isn't here. So with that being said, I've done, you know, everything we've done on this boat has been overdone almost. You know, we've you know, it's just, no one fiberglasses like this here. They use chop strand, and they don't sand it down, they just paint. And it's just this wavy, you run your knuckles across it and you're gonna have bloody knuckles. That's how rough it is on the chop strand. And so the irony of it is, I am supposed to have a certified fiberglass man do this here. And the certified fiberglass men don't know how to do this. And they just put the chop strand on. So it's, you know, and I gotta go find someone who will approve this. And guess what? They gotta put their name on it, you know, as if they built this boat. And so I'm, you know, it's, yeah. So anyhow, but yeah, so everything we can be legal, we've done it. And, you know, we built it properly. It's a beautiful boat. We'll have the styrofoam, not the styrofoam, the expanding foam, polyurethane, I think it is, expanding foam in the deck and the bulkheads. And we've documented everything we've done on this. So they, you know, this boat is built better than any boat. Probably, yeah, on this island, I would imagine. Now, there's some imports, obviously. I can't compete with those. But when it comes to Filipino boats, this one's, it may be made in the Philippines, but it's American made. So, anyways, so I'm gonna pretty much call it. That's what I've got going on. And so I had to clean up my mouth here. It's shows my age, but then it's time to go fishing. Retire and go fishing. I won't retire. I'll continue to work, but I am gonna fish. So anyhow, David here with suicidefishing.com, Suicide Fishing TV YouTube, and Suicide Fishing, the page on Facebook. So like, share, and subscribe. And so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I'm not an expert. I'm a virgin boat builder. I'm a virgin fiberglass guy. You know, I've learned just like most of these other guys that are first-time boat builders. YouTube is the best college education, you know, the best instruction you can get. And I'll tell you this as well. The way this boat's built, I can easily double my money if I sell it. And so, if I sell it. But it's, you know, so for, not that I want to do that, my focus is inside that office, doing my work there for my clients, my bosses. But I'm telling you, for those of you that have a desire to build a boat, go out, buy yourself a bunch of lumber, throw it in the yard, you know, wait until your wife complains enough that you start building your boat, and you'll be surprised how fast the frames come together. You'll be surprised at how fast you get things done. Now, mind you, there are some very time-consuming things when it comes to this boat, like sanding. It's an incredible amount of time, and I'm lucky enough to have my wife's family members and a couple friends who are that come over and help out. And so my brother-in-law comes over, and he's just like, no, I try to pay him. No, my other brother-in-law, he's here. He's a skilled craftsman, building houses all around. He's got knowledge of just about everything. And I've just told him he was actually building. My wife's got several pieces of property, and he's building the houses for my wife out there. And so he's taking a break from there, coming over here, and I'm paying him to help out, and he does an excellent job. Got another friend of mine, Dennis Nebo, which you've seen on some of my blogs. He's an articulate, professional kind of person. He just won't do it unless he can do it right. And so I've got his help as well. He's the one that's painting this. And so the time-consuming part. It's always nice to have some help on that. Get the music out. I'm old school, X generation, and so I've got a little bit of both in me, country and the rock. Garth Brooks, Brad Paisley, along with Van Halen and AC/DC. So it makes the time go by faster if you're by yourself and you've got some good music going. And so, but get that wood, put it out there, start building it, and you don't have to go to the great lengths that I've done. Jeff Spira, and there's a lot of boats out there that were designed by Jeff that were built, and what's unique about them is you can modify them to your taste, whatever you want. I fiberglass inside and out. I got gun whales. You don't have to do this. You could just fiberglass the outside and put resin or varnish on the inside. Make sure you get it all done, everything covered, and you're good to go. I could have probably built 3 of those boats in the time it's taken me to build this one. And so and they're just as good. There's some absolute beautiful boats out there. I've seen them on YouTube, and they've inspired me, different ideas. This boat's a culmination of many of the boats I have seen on YouTube, that the Jeff Spira boats that have been built. And so I hope maybe something I did here will inspire some of you. Excuse me. But you can do it. It's pretty straightforward, and there's instructional videos on YouTube. You get stuck somewhere, take a look. And quite frankly, there's been things that I couldn't get off YouTube, and I had to sit there and think and look and try to figure it out. One of the most time-consuming things is figuring things out is you got to mock it up to make sure it works. And then when you mock it up, you got to take it all apart. And guess what? There's times when you got to mock it up 2, 3, 4 times. I've mocked this a little bit easier, but I've mocked up the fuel lockers many, many, many times. I've mocked up the casting deck. This thing's heavy. And it involves measuring and leveling, and I've had to do that several times. And I sit there and I look at that and I'm going, again, you make a mistake and you got to take it apart and fix it. And so there are time-consuming things like that. So be aware of that. There are some frustrations, but when you get to a point where you're actually seeing that it's going to be something you can use, in the near future, you start getting excited, you know. And so that's where I'm at. I'm getting excited. And so I'm going to get on the water, and I'm going to spend some time doing, and then I'll prepare some of the other things that need to be done later. And so, but that's it. All right. I know I said this before. David with suicidefishing.com, Suicide Fishing Facebook, all right, and Suicide Fishing TV, YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. Hey, go out and give someone you love a hug. All right. I got some experience at this. They may not be there tomorrow, so take the time, and if you can't hug them, you know what? Give them a phone call. Tell them you love them. You know, I hope to see you soon. Enjoy your time on the phone. Whoever it is, all right? Take some time with them, okay? So, I'm tired. I've had some meetings last night. Got some challenges at work. I need to find some accountants. Anybody know some accountants, or anybody know anybody that's really good in HR? I need accountants and HR specialists, and I also need an administrative aid. And these are professional positions, but you know. Anyhow, and they need to be here in the Philippines, and they need to report to the office here. So that makes it even more difficult to find. So this is my work here. I gotta go back to work here. I'll spend too much time on this video. But okay, so this is what I want you to do, as well as give someone you love a hug. I want you to go out and have a wonderful day. I've had an absolute, my day's just beginning. My work day is going to end. My boat building day is going to probably begin. And I can only spend a couple hours on it because I got to get my rest. I need to be alert for my work. That's why I appreciate the help I have on this boat. So I want you to have a wonderful day. And if you can have a better day than I'm having, you're doing good. All right. So, David signing off. I hope, again, you have a wonderful day and enjoy your life. Bye.